We have two items on our survey, which is basically name and email. Now it's time to start asking questions, and I'm going to put some questions in here, and well, they're not really good questions, and I think that you are going to be able to come up with much better questions that relates to you and your friends and your website and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of putting up example things. You do not have to do exactly what I'm doing here. But some of the things are kind of important because we want to have different types of items on our survey. First question I'm going to ask is, and I just kind of hit the return key, I like my eggs. Now that's a cutting edge question. I'm going to come over into my little area where forms, and I'm going to pick up this thing called a radio button. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to call this eggs, and I notice I did it lowercase. Now I have to click on the little button that this thing just put in here so I can go down to properties and actually fill in some information down here. What I want is the radio button. This is the name of that particular variable. And we're going to have multiple radio buttons on this line because we're going to be able to identify at least two different types of eggs. And the name of that variable has to be exact on both of them. And it's not going to be radio, it's going to be eggs. Now, this way, when the information comes back to me, it's going to say variable eggs. Then it'll tell me what the information is that we're putting out there. Okay, so the first thing on my list is going to be fried, F-R-I-E-D. I'm going to leave this as unchecked, and I'm going to come back up here and click on my form, and I'm right after where the little radio button is. Now, if someone clicks that button, the browser is going to figure out that that button said fried. But someone looking at this website is going to go, well, what is it? We have to put this information so that our visitors will be able to see what we're talking about. F-R-I-E-D. Okay, we got our first item. I'm going to put the second item on the same row. Same row. And if I hit the space bar, I can hit it a whole bunch of times. I'm just going crazy with the space bar. And nothing's happening, and that's because browsers tend to be very parsimonious with space. They try to get the most out of the least. So what's happening is we're hitting the space bar and it's going, oh, those are extra spaces. I don't have to do that. I really want those spaces there because I want to make sure that the next button is kind of away from the word fried so that your visitors will not be confused. Well, I can force it to put in a space, and I'm going to do that by doing Shift Command Space. Shift Command Space. Shift Command Space. Da, 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 da. What I'm doing is I'm putting in something called a non-blanking space, a non-breaking space. And while I'm over here, I'm just going to go ahead and put in the radio button. And I guess this will be, oh, this is eggs. I'll click on the actual radio button. Better click again, it's not picking it up. There, that got it. The radio button has to be the same exact name that we gave the first item, which was eggs. Case counts, I mean everything has to be exact. And for this one, I'm going to say S-C-R-A-M-B-L-E-D, scrambled. And I'll come over here and say S-C-R-A-M-B-L-E-D. Now, I'll just click off to the next line. We can see that we have fried, then there's this big space, then scrambled. So we can see that fried goes with this radio button, and scrambled goes with this radio button. Let me click over here where it says, well, let me just go to code to be easier to see on code. We can see where the word fried was, and this little item, this ampersand MBSP semicolon, That's that non-break space. That means the browser has no ability to say, I'm not going to put a space there. This is mandatory. It must put the space in there. So I'm going to go back to design, and I'll go to the end of the word scrambled so that I'm ready for the next item I'm going to put on my menu.